Hey there, Chad here. Thanks for joining me. This is Hollywood Animal with the studio, Stubborn Mule Studios. And we are in episode 3. We are just starting to get things rolling. We now have a story workshop. The upgrade's completed. We need to build the actual workshop. Step after this, with regards to script, what I usually do is go over to the freelance writer's office. This allows you to this allows you to buy scripts. I think you can also leverage the freelance writers if you need somebody for like a one-off, but I don't exactly remember how that works. And it's been a while since I've tried it. I don't think using money to save time on 100 days is worth it here. So we're going to go ahead and build that. And we'll research that, not build. And then we will build the story department, story workshop. Here it is. And we're going to put it, I don't know. How about over here? The quiet side of the lot. Okay. 44 days and we will start working our own stories. Let's see if we have any new ideas. You will see messages up here that, and the script department submitted one new story idea. There it was just a couple days ago. So we should have one sitting here. We have two. Look at that. Both of them are action. Wild West with a daring adventurer or Tropical Island with a working man. Well, those are all pretty good starts. Let's give one of these to Jim. I think I actually usually call him James now that I think about it, but nonetheless, we'll call him Jim now and start writing. The other two guys are still working. This idea will hang around for a while, but not forever. But this is a decent one. You know, it's not Wild West Night, for example. So that's a good start. Early on, I tend to focus on movies that are modern American town or Wild West. I tend to avoid Tropical Island, and there's a couple of others that Fantasy Kingdom. I try to avoid that one because they take a really long time to film. And the longer something takes to film, the more it costs, and the more it costs, the less money you're going to make. So just some things to keep in mind. Once we start writing our own stories, we'll get to see how the things fit together. And Lydia Globe is back asking us. She's actually asking for a little more time off. She's not quite ready to come back. So we can either say show business won't wait, but we don't have any movies to do right now. So what's the point in that? Or go ahead and take 2 more months. We're going to give her 2 more months and see what happens next. Okay, Limp and Luke. All right. So we've talked a couple of times about how we only have the 2 options so far, and that's still the case. End distribution or extend distribution, which basically is exactly what was happening previously. And that we can see that here. Week 8 was the end of the previous 4-week run, and then we kept those exact settings. And what happened is that very first week, we made some money. Good. But afterwards, we lost money. We lost, that's the reason they're red. Our gain was less than our cost, right? And it was dramatic. In week 9, I'm guessing maybe the advertising campaign ran out and these weren't advertised weeks because nobody came to the movie. 2%. Yeah, not a lot. So that's 150 people came to the movies those 2 weeks. And that's it. Less than 100 this last week. So yeah, we didn't do very well with regards to that. And I guess that's not people, that's screenings, right? It's percentage of these. I think each theater, I think they have it at 400. We can do the math sometime and figure it out. But nonetheless, it was not a lot of people came. So we ended up losing money. If we had had that ability, we could have dialed down the rented screens, even down to 0, and not had to pay anything for those. The extra screenings that are in our theaters, we are already paying for the theaters. So there's no additional cost there. And that might have been able to keep these numbers from going red here at the end. Nonetheless, there's no reason to push this movie further. It will just become a money sink for us. So we're going to end the distribution right there. 16 million people went to see Limp and Luke. It cost a little over $1 million to make, and it took in over 3.3 million for a profit of 2.257 million. Not bad. Now that money, I believe, is already reflected up here. As soon as we hit send archive, does that last bit of money? Nope. Yep, there it goes. So that last couple of hundred, about $100,000 went up there for us. Yeah, so then this is where it gets interesting. Our legal executive Hani Gottfried. He was looking over some documents and he discovered that at the last minute, shortly before the end of filming and before Joe Duvall died, there was a contract signed that Joe would get 25% of the box office. Well, we saw what the box office was, 3.3 million. So that's $825,000 that potentially should go to Joe. And that sounds a little sketchy to me. Why was there a contract signed under the table last minute after filming was done? That all seems weird. So we have an ethical dilemma here. We can either pay it, not be happy about it, or we can say we never heard about it. And we're going to say we never heard about it for two reasons. One, need the money. The right thing to do is to give the money back, or give the money to the estate, right? But then the other one is, if we don't click this, we don't get to learn about secrets. So that's the reason we're going to click this one. That's the more of the reason, although I tend to think I would probably prefer to hang on to the money because it'll get tight for a little bit. But we're going to say the conversation never happened. You never saw that document. Well, we end up with a secret because of that. Secrets are things that will come up in the game, and I am not aware of any other than this one so far. Oh, well, that's not true, actually. So in the future, you can like threaten somebody. And if you do that, it's a secret, and you can try to protect the secret and keep people from finding out and damaging your theater's reputation or your studio's reputation. So in this case, it's considered stolen pay. It's a medium risk, and the risk will decrease every 70 days until the secret is completely forgotten and nobody knows about it. So there's a percentage chance each, however often it polls it, that it will be noticed. So yeah, we're going to want to try to bury this secret. So we're going to say continue, and our secret, we get the ability to assign security to it. So what this is, one of these guys will spend their time trying to make sure that nobody finds out about this secret. And if you look, it appears it doesn't matter who we pick. The percentages are set regardless of the level. Level 3, level 1. It's 26, 56, 18. 26% bad outcome, moderate outcome, or successful outcome, basically. We're going to pick a level 1 guy since there's really no benefit in picking the higher level guy. And he will try to prevent people from learning about this secret. Okay. How he does that, I'm not exactly sure. Secrets are kept up here in the corner, as you can see. And if we need to go and look at a list of them, we can click that and it shows us which one's which. We can reassign security if we need to, etc. I don't know what happens if you don't assign security. It's possible it eventually comes out. I haven't had that happen, but I always assign security to it. So script results are in for one of those movies. Token Money is the name. Not bad for a blind script that we gave to one of our writers, and it wasn't in their wheelhouse because, as you recall, we had action movies to pick from, and neither of them were the action writer. So this isn't bad. We get to learn a little bit more about the outcomes. This was one of Rick's scripts, and he leveled up because of it. That's great. And then we will continue, and we get to see what he came up with. So he has a cop versus serial killer in a modern American city as a comedy action movie with a damsel in distress, a treasure hunt. That's a little weird. And the protagonist or cop gets a chance at a better life. We'll learn a little bit more about these as soon as the story workshop is open. But this isn't too bad. The treasure hunt's a little bit kind of, what's going on there? But in general, this isn't horrible. And you could think about this as like a movie like National Treasure, maybe, where, there's people chasing after the thing, and Nick Cage is defending the pretty girl. And, I suppose you could look at this a lot of different ways. The interesting thing about this game is they want you to fill in the blanks in your head of how these movies play out. And I kind of like that idea. I can come up with completely different determination of them than what you come up with. And that's great. So in my mind, this is something like that, where there's this cop and the serial killer, and they're looking for this thing to, save the world. Who knows what it's going to be? But nonetheless, this isn't a horrible combination. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to shelve it because we should have another one coming up right about now too. Both writers were within about a day. There's the second one. And as we can see, Roger didn't do quite as good of a job. His script is coming in at a 0.8 and a 0.6. And that's on a effectively 10-point scale. It goes from 0.0 to 9.9. I have not seen a 10.0. It's possible they're out there. I haven't seen one myself. And yeah, we don't know anything about the script yet, but he didn't do a terribly good job. Well, it wasn't his wheelhouse. He did level up. That's good. Roger is the weakest of our writers. And okay, this is an action adventure history in the Wild West with a cop, an evil monster in the Wild West, winning the beloved, but there's no indication that there is a beloved. Unrequited love, but there's no indication that there is a love. And in the finale, the protagonist dies. So the system is rating the script at a 0.8 for its commercial appeal, 0.6 for its artistic appeal. A few things will play into that in the future. I'm not going to separate or worry about them too much for now. I tend to base my thoughts on this number mostly because that seems to be what drives the bigger percentage of your audience. There are people who come because it's an artsy movie. That's these guys, and that's what this represents. Not a great script to begin with, not loving how the pieces fit together. Maybe if the antagonist was a bandit, and if maybe there was a damsel in distress, then maybe some of this might make sense, or a love interest or something like that, or even a female sidekick. But there's not even an indication. Okay, so the evil monster is a female character. So maybe that's what, so we have both unrequited love and winning the beloved. Those feel like opposites, particularly if there's really only two characters in the movie. So I'm not quite sure how this fits together. This doesn't sound like it's going to do very well, particularly when the new algorithm comes down and they update the game. We're going to kill this one. We're just going to delete it. Didn't ever happen. There we go. And did we have another script to potentially write? I think we did. Yeah, this one wasn't too bad. Action, Tropical Island, Working Man. Let's give this to Roger since his first one didn't go so well. Get him a little more experience, and it might not go well either. He's a romance writer. This is an action movie. Maybe that isn't a great combination for him. I will say that a lot of times your romance writer can write an incredible action movie that really is worth keeping, and these aren't locked in, but he prefers to work in romance. If it was in his least favorite, I think it's funny. It doesn't say hates, right? It's least favorite. This is my favorite. This is my least favorite. So there's going to be an impact of what he favors and what he doesn't favor as to how the script comes out. But we're going to go ahead and assign it to Roger, and let's see what happens. We should have another idea or two soon. Plus, in 18 days, we can do our own. I'm looking forward to showing you that. That'll probably be the focus of this episode. And the casting office is built. This is a fantastic day for us because we get to stop the game and we get to go hire folks. So we're going to click here. This is our overall staff. This is the general workers. These are the assistants and the grips and the gaffers and all those folks behind the scenes, the people who run the front office, the people who sell the tickets. That's what these are made up from. We don't really deal with that directly a lot until we do that research in HR, and we're not going to do that right now. What we're after are actors and directors and cinematographers and potentially editors and composers, not so much over management, although it is good to see who's out here, and I do forget this is there. You can kind of see who you might be able to go after. This is our current list. If we go to that's right. These are when you're on studio employees, these are people who we have hired. We can kind of see that. We recognize their names. The other option is everybody that's out there. And this includes people who work for Gerstein or people who are not working for anyone or people who work for, is it Supreme? Yep, Supreme. And then there's a Evergreen. There's another one, I think there's 5 studios total. Maybe that is it. Oh, here it is. Marginis, yeah. And then Hephaestus. I'm not sure how to say some of these, sorry. Language was not my gift. Okay, but we can see there's a lot of people that are in the market that we can potentially hire. That's great. We can sort it down to just those that are available. So these are available actors and actresses. We want to have a good stable of them. And you want to balance ages. You don't want to have, let's see, we don't want to have Marie Freeman playing the strict parent over Lewis Blair, right? That doesn't make sense. She's 20, he's 38. Not going to want that. So you need to keep that in mind. The game does pay attention to that. In fact, it will give us a warning or two here coming up when we cast our first movie. I know they say age is just a number, which is how that particular lesson starts. Don't be alarmed. I think that comes up no matter what you do. At first, I assumed it thought I really messed something up. I think it comes up no matter what. I think it's its way of getting that data into your brain so that you know. Now, one other important thing to see, well, a couple of others, we have tags on all these guys. This guy's arrogant, looks at others with disdain, and likes to talk down to them. Okay, so he's going to impact people's impressions and how well he works with others, right? She is undisciplined. She is lazy. He is a misogynist. This guy is conceited and a drug addict. This one, misogynist. This one, xenophobe. Anybody who doesn't look American to him, he doesn't care for them. Snooty, right? Arrogant. This one is disciplined. So that's a good one to keep in mind. The disciplined folks, they tend to be more predictable, I think is the best way to look at it. And, we have a bunch of these. There's a couple of others, good and bad. This is racist, I think. Yeah. So Solomon is a racist. And the fact of the matter is you're going to have people you hire that you wouldn't like to associate with, but it's the 30s. These attitudes, these things, unfortunately, they're a part of our history and they weren't entirely uncommon, unfortunately. So just keep that in mind. Picking somebody who is listed as a racist doesn't make you a racist, doesn't mean you're supporting that. It means you're trying to make the best movie you can, and maybe someday their attitude will change. All right, off my soapbox. There is a glaring, obvious choice to maybe try to hire here, and that is Lewis Blair. And the biggest reason for that are these two extra icons. These are extremely important. Lewis Blair has this icon, the popcorn one. He is a superstar. Okay. He's not legendary. He's not the very top, but he is a superstar as an actor. Well, that means people will come to his movies. They'll go see a movie because it's him. We like that idea. That's very important. And it's a 4-part rating: rising star, star, superstar, legend. I'm sure there's weights to each one of those, but even just having the icon is extremely helpful, makes him a very valuable property. Then he also has the laurels here, which is promising talent. And that can be promising talent, commanding presence, true artist, or icon. This is their artistic ability. He is both commercially successful and artistically successful, more so than the average bear. That's what this is really telling us. He is a must hire, is what it comes down to. We want to lock him up and we want to keep him forever and ever and ever. Isn't there an old story like that? Anyway, we do have a service department coming, but it's not ready yet. So I think we're going to do what we did with the other guy. We're going to hire him for one movie at a good discount. It's going to be $35,200. And we're going to hold on to him until we use him. And then once he's done that movie and gets done with his part of it, he'll come back to us and say, he'll either say, I don't really like your movie studio, but I'm willing to work with you more. Or he'll say, hey, we've got a great relationship. We should work together. Doesn't really matter which one of those we will have an option to pick him up. And that's what we want to do. We want to hopefully get a discount on him by that time. But at the very least, we will have services we can give him that will reduce his otherwise pretty high fee. If we wanted to lock him up for 3 years, we're talking about $112,000, which now that I say it out loud, $112,000. Okay, it's a little more than that. Sorry. Oh, that was the discounted price because I already have money in there. I apologize. So it's $150,000 is what it is. $50,000 a year for a superstar actor. That probably would be worth doing, honestly. But let's go ahead and kind of play the game and try to get him a little cheaper long term, and we'll see what happens. An actor can probably make legitimately probably 2 to 2.5 movies, maybe 3 movies a year if you really, really lock it down and have all your ducks in a row from the get-go. I'm not great at that, so I don't know that I would be really successful at that. And I have to be honest with you, the more I look at this, the more it looks like a rabbit now, and I'm really disturbed by that. I want it to be a mule. Anyway, all right, so let's keep going. We're going to go ahead and accept this offer to him. We're going to offer him $35,000. He will take it. He will sign with us, and he is now our actor. He's under contract with us. We should probably try to find a young lady as well. And then Bessie here is extremely talented, but she's going to cost $43,000 for a single movie. She doesn't have those bonuses, but she also doesn't have any bad habits. That's good too. What I'm kind of looking for is somebody like Marie that is extremely young. She is inexpensive. And the reason we want that is she can play the damsel in distress role pretty convincingly. She's young, innocent, the hero swoops in and saves the day. And so we can lock her up for a period of time too. She's only going to work for us for $3,000 for 3 years. Ridiculous. We can afford that. We can definitely afford that. And we're going to take Marie Freeman. Let's see. We could use some older ladies as well. Well, we have 3, right? We have Barb, we have Lydia, and we have, I can't remember her name. I think I changed it to Jessica something. Jessica Franz. Well, we could click here and see. These are our actors. Okay, so we could so we have 3 women, 5 men. We can go with that for now. If there were more of these, I always take these when they're available, because if you don't, your competitors do, and then you don't have access to them. Notice he's got one. He's got a star. He's got a rising star. He's got promising talent. We don't have those, and they will be locked up for a good period of time. This is what, a 5-year contract? 6-year contract? I mean, they're locked up. They're locked up for a long time. All right, let's look at directors. We have a similar rating for directors. They can have artistic ability or commercial draw. And you'll notice that the words are a little different. That instead of being star, he is a fan favorite, sensation, phenomenon, or Hollywood giant. And those are, again, important. I think these are a little bit different. It's fresh perspective as opposed to like artist. These are more about their ability to envision the actual movie. Okay, these guys are all taken though. Not this guy, but let's go ahead and see who's available. Do we have any of those? Not really seeing any. This guy is unassuming and diligent, and he's relatively cheap. I almost think I want to lock him up too. No penalties with him. We're not going to run into super weirdness with him. That's good. Generally, the folks that have those extra icons are going to be your higher level stars. Sometimes they will be at the bottom of the board, not the very bottom. I don't think you're going to see any 1.0s, but you will find like 2.0s and 3.0s that are indeed have those abilities or you will. And you can sometimes they'll even be able to get better. Everybody can get better to a point, but they do all have a cap, and we don't know what that cap is. Although it looks to me like his cap is right here at 5. Okay. His cap looks like it's probably right here at 4, because these stars are kind of sort of grayed out. Whereas if you look at, you know what? That's actually because he started that. Forget I said any of that. This is because he's already into that level. But at some point we will get a line that shows us how far they can go, and we won't be able to move them past that. And some of them, their line is right after 1. You don't know until they gain experience for you. And that's a downside. As for this, though, directors are extremely important in the outcome of the movie. You'll notice this guy is 700. This guy is 1,300 and not even as good. We're going to go ahead and grab Herman here. He's head of the class, and he's significantly better than these other folks, and definitely better than the guy that cost twice as much. So we're going to go ahead and pick up Herman. And as a director, we can do it just for a movie with him as well. I think that's a good strategy to follow in this game. I'm going to give that a try in this playthrough until we have money where we're just not worried about it anymore. And I am a little worried about it right now. We'll just plan on this strategy of trying to get them to get to a discount before we re-sign them. Okay. Cinematographers, extremely important. I always take the best one available when I can, when they are better than what I have. And I'm going to do that here too. Dale is going to join us. Cinematographers work more frequently. and I'm less inclined to worry about his dollar value up front. I'm more willing to pay him $128,000 for 3 years, knowing that I'll get him for 3 years and not have to worry about renegotiating him. But again, we've said that our current strategy is going to be to try to get them at a discount after they work for us. So we're going to do that. And again, the services will help tremendously. So we're going to go ahead and take that as a cinematographer. Editors, we've got the best and the second best in the game, and then composers, and we're not so worried about security. We pick up security as we need it. I don't worry about that one too much. I think in the future, the game will require it a little more. Right now, I think that's one of the things they haven't completely fleshed out entirely in how the game works right now. One other thing we do want to do, and this is a little painful, and it's a little gamey, but we're going to do it. We need to save money. We're going to go through and get rid of a few folks and then hire them back, because as soon as you fire them, they reduce their rate. And specifically, we're going to fire Emma. Emma currently costs us $8,000 a month. We're going to fire Emma. Okay. And we can immediately rehire her. And this disappoints me a little. Her happiness and her loyalty didn't change at all. And I don't see where it changes, but they didn't change. If we go to hire her, remember it was 8,000. She's now worth 3,500 a month. We cut her salary in half. Well, I suppose maybe she expected that with new management coming in. So, she's been floating for 6 months on new management at her higher salary. And we just got around to reading the books and realizing, hey, wait a minute, we're not paying anybody that much for this work. So we now have locked in her lower salary. We're going to do the same with Oliver, although Oliver doesn't discount as much. He's $10,000 to start, $10,000 a month. That's $60,000 we spent we didn't need to. I am going to fire him, but he only drops his rate. Well, he does cut it in half, but he costs way more than Emma still, right? And he's not as good. So a lot of times I don't rehire him. I'll hire somebody else instead of him and then try to build them up. He is an alcoholic. That impacts his work. Let's take a quick look at who's out there other than him in editors. Well, we just fired him, but like the next guy down, it's more than a point, but he's also 10% of the cost. So I might go ahead and do that. I think we do. And a lot of times the ladies are the bargain. They work really well and they're good at the job. So I think just based on the numbers that we have here, maybe Joanne is the way to go. It is hard to drive up experience in these folks, though. This little bit difference is noticeable, but I think we'll go ahead and go with Joanne. Yeah, that's decision you'll get to make. Which way do I want to go with that? Let's come over here to composers, and in studio we have Lee Woods. Wait till you see these salaries. Lee is 10,000, and he's not very good at his job, right? He's a 2.8. We're going to fire him, and when he comes back, he still wants 4,600. Honestly, I guess he's probably worth it. We'll go ahead and do that. And Lewis here, 20,000 a month. We're paying this guy. And he's a racist. Well, in the interest of keeping, he is the best composer out there. That's a problem, right? That he's the best one out there right now. We're going to fire him, and we are going to hire him back at half his salary, basically. 8,800. So we just saved a tremendous amount of money in salaries by doing this. And like I said, we know he's got his faults, but unfortunately he's the best in the industry right now. That will change, but for now he is, and we are going to want to hang on to him. Okay. So I think we've kind of solidified that. The people you pay monthly are your screenwriters, your composers, your security, your editors, and your management. You pay them monthly. Actors, directors, producers, cinematographers, those are all on contract. You pay them upfront and you're done spending money on them. When you give them services, those services can cost each month, but it is tremendously less than what their salary would be if you were looking at it as a monthly. So definitely worth giving them services and reducing costs there. All right, let's move on. Let's see what we can get to. We have a movie that we could potentially make now. Token money. Let's see what we could do with this. So we're going to start this project. This was written, I think this was, Rick Bruno wrote this one. It's not an incredible movie, but it's not a bad start. It's a comedy and action movie about a cop chasing after a serial killer with a damsel in distress, a treasure hunt, and the protagonist gets a chance at a better life. So we're going to start that project and we go to the planning desk. Here it is. Basically, we pick out how the movie is going to get put together. We get to pick a cinematographer. Let's pick our big guy. Why not? Although it's only a 4-reel movie. So one thing you need to do is you generally, these numbers will move towards the aggregate of the people you put on the movie. If we put this 8.8 on there, these numbers should go up considerably. If we put a 2.1 on, might stay the same, could go up, probably are going to go down. And that's something to note. So for this first movie, since we don't have anything else in the hopper right now, we're going to go ahead and use the best guy. And he tends to work better with filming on location. That's what this thing means. Although it doesn't give you a lot of information on how this exactly works, but he tends to be good at that. We will go ahead and select our only soundstage. But if we only do on location shooting, we won't actually use that soundstage, and another movie would be able to use it in the meantime if it needed to. So if we select all on location, we don't have a choice on quality. We're just not that good of a studio yet. It's going to take 99 days to film this. That's what this is telling us. There are some modifiers that'll change that a little bit, but this is an excellent rule of thumb. It's 99 days to fill it. Now, if you're like, but wait, those numbers don't add up to 99. You're exactly right. They don't. What this includes is the non-workday weekends in between. So every Saturday and Sunday that you roll through adds 2 days to this number. So it isn't a bad thing to come in here and say, you know what, city interiors, do I have to do them on location, or is that something I can do in a soundstage and do a pretty good job of it? I reduce that. This number goes down by 5. It's going to go down to 14. This one's going to go down by 7 because I just cut a week out of the schedule. Fewer days for them to be working. So the duration it's a good rule of thumb. Again, it's not perfect. I tend to look at this as how long the movie's going to take to put together. And so this is the number I base most of my decisions on. The cost, you're going to start low like this. The cheapest ones to make are the modern American towns because there's only tends to be 4 settings that they sit in. This one has 5 and this can go up. These numbers will change. The number and the location types will change with the genre. Also with the number of story elements you have, it'll go up and down. But this is where you can start. Pre-production, so getting things set up and ready and ordered and all that, 30 days, then 92 more days. So a total of 122 days, a third of a year, 4 months, to get this movie from today to production complete. But that's not post-production. That's just production complete. That's what we're looking at. This is, obviously the details of what's going on there. So first decision is, how do we do that? Do we include stage sets or not? Do we do everything on location? On location, more expensive, takes a little longer. Stage, lower quality. So that's the way to look at that. You get to make decisions. You get to decide how it works for you. We're going to continue, and then we get to pick the technology. Well, right now, we don't have any choices. We have the Doppler camera, and it costs $2,000 a day to run. So keep that in mind. You'll notice this cost just jumped up dramatically. What I started to say is this number looks low right now. We will be making movies where this is pushing $1 million within 5 years. And so that's something to keep in mind. Then sound technology, same thing. We don't have any choices. At least it's a cheap choice though. All right. So now things that affect the quality of the movie. These things will all affect the artistic and the commercial value of the movie. This is a comedy action with a cop and a serial killer. How many extras do we need? Can we get by with 1 to 10, which will cost us $1,300? Or do we do 11 to 50, which is $5,200? So the way I look at this is it's a $4,000 difference to make a significant boost in the quality of the movie. I'm going to take it. This I don't have a choice on. We do get choices on these later, but nothing you can do about this right now. And then crew. I have found that using plenty of crew It costs about 50% more. Not quite. Yeah, actually it is 50%. 50% more, worth every penny. So far, I've seen that it is worth every penny. And I do plan on trying to put together a video that breaks some of that down. There is something very difficult with that, and that is all the events that pop up in between while you're waiting for a movie to get made seem to be able to impact this a little bit. It's not exactly a deterministic formula. So we can kind of feel things out over time, and I've been working on that, but my indication, everything that I've seen, it is better to go with plenty than not. If you're planning on doing a low budget film, by all means, cut this. There's nothing wrong with that. But adding extra crew will improve these numbers for you. We're going to go and continue. And now we get to assign all the jobs, which is great. We get to pick the producer. Well, we have this guy for one more movie. I think we're going to actually use Vincent Rooks for this. His number is a little lower than what this is, and it will impact it, but it should be okay. It won't be tremendously bad. So we're going to go ahead and go with Vincent. Probably a bigger impact is his happiness and his loyalty, honestly. For a director, we have this guy for one movie, or we have our own Anthony Campbell. Well, right now, Anthony's number is above this. This number will move as it moves through the pipeline. It'll change. But I'm comfortable with going with Anthony. We'll save that other guy for our first really big movie. Our cop. All right, this gets complex and important, so we're going to spend a minute on this. Genres. These are genres that the actor has previously worked in, recently worked in. So Lewis has been in comedies. He's been in a romance. He's been in an action film. You'll notice that these two are highlighted. These two are not. And that is because these will impact who was willing to come see his movie. And it's actually negative impact. They don't want to see the same movie. Fans don't want to see the same actor in the same movie every time, unless they're established in that role, which is what these 6 things over here are. He is an established comedic actor. We can do nothing but comedies with him and people will flock to him. Okay. I think that's why these are grayed out. From a role perspective, he's been a love interest a lot. He's also been, I think, a sidekick, rival. He's been a rival. Okay. Well, if we put him in a rival role, people are less likely to want to see it. They're like, I've seen him in a rival role. Okay. Personally, I don't judge movies that way, but I guess there are people out there that do. Maybe you're one of them. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what critics are for, right? So no problem there. It just isn't how I work. And so I never would have thought of this, but he can be the love interest of every movie we make from now until the end of time. And it is not going to impact who comes to see the movie because he is an established love interest in movies. So this is how you read this chart. And I hope that's really helpful. And I have started paying closer attention to this. I didn't my first couple of times playing through. I've played through like 10 years, 15 years into the future in the game. And, first couple of times I did that, I didn't pay any attention to that. And then when I started paying attention to it, it really, the movies did go better is what it comes down to. Peter Harris is kind of a jack of all trades. He does everything and he's not known for anything. And that's kind of problematic because then we don't have something we can say, oh, well, he can always play this kind of role and we're good to go. Part of the reason I don't love Peter Harris, he's limited to level 6. We'll learn that after the first movie we make with him. It will tell us that, and we'll get to learn that mechanic. But also because of this, it makes it difficult to kind of pick what he should be in. So this is a comedy and an action movie. Well, he's done comedy, he's done action. So 60% of his recent roles were those. Well, genres anyway. From a role perspective, well, he hasn't been a cop. He's been a sheriff. He hasn't been a cop. So they wouldn't be bothered by him being a cop. So that's okay. He's not established in comedy. Maybe we would be able to establish him if we pick him. He might end up saying, hey, he's now an established guy. And that would be great. But I don't know if that would happen. But let's go ahead and do that. Let's pick him. Let's see if we make that work. Okay. For a damsel in distress role, I think Barb is going to be our best bet. She's our best actress right now that's available. She's a 2.9. Damsel in distress is a specific kind of role, and none of these are that. And genre-wise, she hasn't been in a comedy. She hasn't been in an action movie. So, fresh look. They'll be like, oh, hey, Barb Fisher's in a new kind of movie. Let's see how she does. Maybe she'll do great. We're going to go ahead and use her for that. Okay, naturally, I'd never doubt your confidence. I want to give you a little professional advice. Choose actors who are at least the same level as the script. If the script is good, but the actor is lousy, they'll drag the film down. Very true. This is why the age thing starts to look like a warning, but I don't think it's meant to, because this is. With first actor we picked below that level, it gave us this warning. Well, we don't have any other options. We don't have a better actress right now. We could hire somebody, and that is entirely true. We could come out here and say, oh, let's go and hire an actress and make sure they're at least a 4. And we could do that. I'm going to stick with what we have right now. We're not going to do that just yet. So let's go ahead and go with Barb. And then finally, we get to pick the serial killer. So serial killer is that there. It's the notches, right? It's the what do we call those, tallies? It's the tally marks. And we don't have anybody. Okay, actually, Russell has been a serial killer recently. That's kind of a funny sentence to say. I have to say, I don't think I ever thought in my life I'd say that sentence. But he has been in that kind of role. He hasn't been in comedies. He hasn't been in action. So that he wouldn't be a horrible choice. His level is a little low, but his level is not going to get any higher by not working. So that's something to consider too. David has been in adventures, but not in action. He's been in a comedy. He's never been a serial killer. Good old Clark here. He's been in comedies, been in action, never a serial killer. We could pick anybody here. It's about even. The biggest difference is their ability. I think I'm going to go with David Gutman for this. Again, and this is where it gives us that second warning. Often I hear that age is just a number. Even 80, a person 80 can feel young. Yes, true. I'm not 80 yet. I'm not feeling so young today, but that's a whole nother story. But when people go to the movies, their expectations are more conservative. Everyone wants the hero's beloved to be younger. Okay, so the female star, when it's something like a love interest or something, they want them to be younger. And we want the evil sorcerer to be older. I'm just pointing that out. Okay, he is just pointing that out. I think this is a way of saying maybe make your serial killer older. This guy's 28. So I think we can respect that. Let's go ahead and do that. And instead of David Gutman, we're going to use Russell Simmons. He's quite a bit older. Once again, oh, this is the warning of he's in the same role over and over. Allow me to give you some unsolicited advice. You know better than me. They love familiar faces in familiar roles, but it's better not to overdo it. If you shoot the same actor in the same roles and genres too often, people will start to resent it. Try to give the audience time to miss their favorite character. I do agree with that. I kind of see it from that perspective, why that makes some sense. We're going to go ahead and go with Russell anyway. You'll notice he's been a serial killer once. It's been a while. I think it puts the newest ones on the end. I'm actually not 100% sure of that. I probably need to check on that. But he hasn't been in an action movie. He hasn't been in a comedy. So we'll see what happens there. And we're going to continue. The last stage here, this one's easy to miss because it's like, well, what do I do? What's there to do? You have to click right here. You have to literally mouse over this and you have to approve the deal. This is going to cost $328,000 to make. And that's through production. Generally, that price is going to be exactly right. I haven't seen where it fluctuates very much. It might a few dollars here and there. You have a couple of production choices you get to make at some point. Initially, you don't at all. And I haven't actually even seen this number fluctuate, even if it's like, oh, filming's going to take 50% longer. They don't seem to charge you for the extra days. You're still paying an hourly rate, it seems. But nonetheless, we're going to go ahead and accept it. And now we can start that project. And so they're all sitting around happy with the job they did. And now our pipeline starts. This movie is cruising along down here. Token money. It is in pre-production. They're getting things set up and moving forward for it. Let's go ahead and get through this one. And our script department opened. You know, there's a lot to talk about in the script department. We are going to do that in the next episode. That'll be the very first thing we do. So we're going to kill out of this as soon as it opens up here. We'll come back to that in our next episode. If that's what you're looking for, you know where to look now. It'll be in episode 4. Construction of services completed. Looks like we're going to have a full episode 4. There's a lot to talk about there too. We do need to go ahead and hire the head of the department. Same criteria I look for. Cheap, relatively happy, but 50% is always okay. You can usually go with that. By far the cheapest, and he does already have one of the 2 bonuses that he could apply. So we're going to go with Lewis. Save some money, have those bonuses. All right. So this is a service we can offer. We'll start to do that in the next episode. And we'll talk a little bit more about those then. Let's pause this. The other thing we can't do yet because we haven't researched it, and we're going to, is he'll be able to create gifts he'll be able to find watches to give to people or cigars or bourbon, even though it's prohibition. And he can hand those out and make people happier. But we need to research them. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to research the Silver Moon Chronos watch. There it is. We can speed it up a little bit. It's probably not worth it. It's not worth 40 points to speed it up by a whole 2 days. So we're just going to go for that upgrade, and we will learn about that when it hits. All right. You know what? I'm going to pause here. We will see what happens when we get to the production stage of a movie, and we will also investigate more about the story workshop and services when we go to hire folks and how that impacts them. So thank you for joining me. Hope this has been worth your while. I look forward to starting to just play through the game, a little less of the descriptives and more of the play, but we'll get there. We'll get there, folks, I promise. And thanks again. Till next time, fair travels.